Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again. It's the XRL's Realistic Racing League, and we're at Catalunya. We're going to be at Catalunya all weekend today for XRL. I'm Insane Later 13, your host, coming off of a dev race that was extremely chaotic, extremely all over the place. Now we come into a race that will be a little bit longer, might be a little bit more traditionally, not quite yawn-inducing, but a little bit more processional. But we've said that before, and this series will still end up delivering from time to time. So this could end up being a very interesting race regardless. We will find out. But anyways, we're looking at a nearly full lobby right now. Real quickly looking at all the drivers representing their teams. In the Mercedes team, we're looking at Level 6 BC and an XRL Steel. In the Scuderia Ferrari team, it's Ryan Hurricane and Mr. Anderson. In the Aston Martin Red Bull team, it's Kinsey Retro and Boothie 116. In the McLaren F1 team, it's Danny JJ02 and XRL Low. In the Renault team, it's XRL Zola and Smoothie 25. The Tracing Point team is being represented by Young Maneuver, finally making a return after being gone for some time, and Higsby 97. In the Alfa Romeo team, it's Hazel and Wax. In the Haas F1 team, it's Elfin Starfish 19 and Pinkwell. In the Williams team, it's Trap Palos and A. Waddington. And in the AlphaTauri team, they're currently being represented by XRL Fiend. Anyways, we're just going to stand by for a little bit. We're going to see if another driver ends up showing up in time for the remaining AlphaTauri seat. There were several different drivers waiting on standby to see if they can get into this race. However, they haven't joined yet, so I don't know if they will or will not join this race before we get into qualifying. But last week was a very interesting event here at Singapore because we got a really good showcase of what the championship can look like if our points leader, Danny JJ02, doesn't show up for an event. And here's the other thing, Danny is not here for today either. This means that for one second. Actually, I'll just bring up the points so I can just give you the points in general, actually. That way I'm not just trying to talk off my rear and I can actually give you the exact information you might be looking for. When it comes to the standings, because Danny JJ02 did not show up last week, he lost the points lead, and Ryan Hurricane now has the points lead by 2 points. Another race we're looking at today where Danny is not with us. What that could end up meaning... We have another spectator, that's interesting. What that could end up meaning is that we could have a situation where Danny, by missing 2 races, could throw away what looked to be an easy win, or at least an easy championship for him. Because now he has 2 points out from Ryan Hurricane and is looking to miss this race as well. Zola is sitting with 78 points, and then Pinkwell has 73 points. Fifth in the point standings is Low, and XR Low has 64 points. Hazel is 6th, he has 53. Wax has 45, while Ultimate has 38. Steel has 37. Kinsey Retro has been having a very up and down season, but he's hanging strong in 10th with 33 points. MCR Path has 28 points. Jabus Yan has 19 points. Young Maneuver has 18. All those points were earned very early in the season. He's going to be looking to add to that total today. Smoothie 25 has 16 points. Mr. Anderson has 9 points. Level 6 BCN has 6 points. And then Abiti, Collie Boy, PPR Venom, and Elfin Starfish all have 0 points right now as we are preparing to get properly loaded up. Our last driver has arrived, though, for the AlphaTauri team. That is going to be PPR Venom and XRL Fiend in that team as we prepare to load onto the circuit proper. When it comes to the manufacturers, aka the team's championship, Alfa Romeo continues to bring up the back with 34 points. The Mercedes team has 51 points, while the AlphaTauri team has 64 points. Aston Martin Red Bull has 72 points, while Williams has 75. The Tracing Point team has 98 points. Fourth in the points tally is Haas. They have 112 points. The McLaren team has 134, just 2 off of Renault with 136. And Ferrari is beginning to open up a small gap. They have 163 points at the top. And that is what we are looking at right now. Preparing to load up the event proper now, and qualifying per usual. Top 15 at the end of the session will advance into session 2. So it's going to be a race up the field as much as they can. We'll definitely see some drivers probably retire relatively early in the session because they will have their decent laps in nice and quickly. Loading onto the track now. In the dev race earlier today, it was very chaotic. We had 4 different disqualifications in qualifying, 2 of them in Q1, 1 in Q2, 1 in Q3, and then we had a disqualification in the race itself. There also was a massive accident in the first round of qualifying as well, which really made things kind of strange to say the least, because it was Ozza, one of the faster drivers, who crashed out. So we only had 18 drivers for the dev race, and only 15 of them set lap times in Q1. It was that weird, and the last driver didn't even set his lap time until like the last minute and a half. So it got very, very weird very, very quickly, to say the least. No drivers have, as I say that, here we are, our first driver looks to be coming out onto the circuit right now. That is going to be the McLaren of XRL Low, who will be leading the field onto the track, and will try to set the benchmark for everyone else to capture. He is being followed by the Alfa Romeo. That is the Alpha of XRL. Well, actually, you can see some more movement farther back in the field back there. Again, qualifying time is going to be very important to have a good setup. We are not anticipating rain to fall quite yet in the session. There might be rain in the race itself, but qualifying, we think it will end up being dry. PPR Venom is now beginning his outlap, and now we see the Haas that is being commanded by Elfin Starfish coming out onto the circuit as well. Mr. Anderson beginning his outlap right now. You can see the Williams, that is XRL Steel. Also, XR Steel just wanted me to let everybody else know, we are currently trying to reach out for you for your car's extended warranty. Coming down out of turn 5 now through 6 and into 7. 7's kind of a difficult corner to get right. If you can do it properly, you can get a really nice time through Sector 2. Anyways, we are going to ride on board for a full lap with Mr. Anderson in the Ferrari. We're going to be silent in the booth as we do so as well. And an invalid lap time by Mr. Anderson means that he's going to have to wait even longer before he can get a proper lap going here. XRL Steel has already retired from the session as something has happened to his car. You can look back there and you can see it's off circuit there on the back straightaway. We're going to try and get Steel in here and see what happened that took him out of the session so quickly. Hazel, meanwhile, is beginning a flying lap as he's going through turns 1, 2, now dives into this long, sweeping turn 3. Entering the corner doesn't seem that hard, but you just continue leaning on the steering wheel the entire time around. Now you go to turn 4, which is almost totally blind, uphill, another flowing corner, then you dive down. Anyways, coming into the party with us right now, we have XRL Steel. Steel, we need to stop meeting up like this before the race gets started. Also, I do hope that you contacted us back about your car's extended warranty, because you obviously need it. What happened there?
I just honestly coming out of the turn, I got a little bit of a bad rip. Wasn't sure that the car ahead of me was going to get out of way sufficiently. That said, it's no fault of the driver ahead. I just got a little bit dippy on the throttle coming out of there, so that's more my fault than anything. So no fault to the driver ahead of me. Just took a bad rip and just got to figure out how to recover from that and get everything settled down come race time.
Alright, thanks for the word, Steel. Sorry to have to talk to you again so early.
Not a problem. Hopefully you'll be talking to me on the podium today.
Alright, well, fingers crossed. We know you have the talent to make it work. You pulled off a good drive last week at Singapore, so
well, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyways, now we begin to put our attention back onto the racetrack. Danny JJ02 has shown up now. He's in the McLaren. He's going to try and bounce back. He is currently 2 points out of the championship lead. His teammate Lowe has the fastest time right now, 1:17.084, so we know that the McLarens are very fast and capable today. Higsby coming down. An interesting run earlier today in the dev race. Now we're going to try and capitalize on that. And there is a vehicle that has gone off there. That is Wax, I believe. Yes, that is Wax, who has gone completely off circuit there at the top of Sector 2. One of the tops of Sector 2. You can see him taking that escape road so he does not end up harming someone else's lap. Now, real quickly, we're going to go ahead. We're going to go silent and try again to ride on board with the driver. This time we're going to ride on board with Danny JJ02 and see what he can pull out of his hat here at Catalonia. And once again, Danny invalidates the lap. Zola, though, is going to try and begin a quick lap very shortly here. Another driver, to take note of, is Trap Paulos. We'll go silent on board with him instead now. Every driver I've tried doing an onboard lap with today, whether it's Dev or XRL, they immediately invalidate the lap the moment I start following them. This is Young Maneuver. He's in the middle of an out lap, as is the driver right behind him, Kinsey Retro. Zola will begin a flying lap shortly, so we're going to try riding on board with Zola for a lap. Maybe Zola can keep it clean for a circuit. But meanwhile, there's a massive spread in times between 1st and 12th right now. We're looking at a spread of about 3.5 seconds from the top to the bottom. And for drivers like Fiend, Wax, and BCN, they're going to need some massive improvements if they want to advance into Q2. Anyway, here's a lap on board with Zola now. not a good lap whatsoever from Zola as going into turn 3. A lot of trouble putting the power down and the car skidding all the way up the hill there. So Zola right now has the second slowest time of a 1:18.613. Smoothie 25 is in the middle of a lap. He's in purple sector 2. Danny JJ02 is in the middle of another invalid lap. And Kinsey Retro is coming to the pits. Pinko is on an out lap, and Trap Palos is aborting the lap that he was in the middle of trying. So track limits, a very, very big issue here. Again, normally by this point we're down to only having 4 or 5 drivers fighting for the bottom spots. It's rare to see still 5 drivers who haven't even set a lap time, 6 if you want to count Steele, who crashed out when he was on a lap. Smoothie 25 comes out of the final corner, and for Real Ideas, the pace that the Renault has, he puts the car 7th, 117.565 right now. At the moment, BCN is the driver on the bubble. Pinko and Yen Maneuver are both on outlaps, and Danny is going to try again for another lap here. This will be his 3rd different attempt. 2nd in the points, 2 out of the Drivers' Championship lead. His rival, Ryan Hurricane, currently has the 3rd fastest time with a 117.304. 50.5 at the end of Sector 2 for Danny, as he now begins to bring that McLaren uphill. Highest point of the track, and now it's downhill, very difficult through here. The entire weight of the car is basically loaded onto the front axle throughout this entire section. It makes it look really smooth. It looks like it might end up being a really good time for Danny. The DRS pops open at the line. Is good enough for 2nd. 1:16.997. He is one of 2 drivers who have broken the 117 barrier. Pinko has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of, but Young Maneuver is beginning a flying lap now, and we have 5 minutes and 11 seconds left in the session. Zola is on the bubble. Beastin is on the outside looking in. Trap Palos is in an out lap as we speak as well. Sector 2 right now. Coming uphill, high speed, uphill, blind, 90-degree corner. He pops up in the DRS. That's Danny who will move over so as not to impede Yun's lap. Waddington retires from session in the pits. He is 11th, and he must feel very confident that his time isn't going to get knocked out. Coming out of the final corner, Young Maneuver across the line. 17th driver set a lap time is good enough for 5th, 1:17.369. Now the focus goes to Pinko and Trap Palos, and Trap will move over for Pinko because Pinko is on a banger of a lap right now by the looks of it. Rounding the corner, coming onto the back stretch, now popping up in the DRS at the line. It's not the greatest, 50.628, but it will still be enough to get a lap in. Waddington has now been pushed down to 12th. Zola is beginning another flying lap. In fact, we're seeing several other drivers rushing onto the track at these last moments to try and get a good time going there. That is Higsby, who has gone off in Sector 2 to let other drivers pass. Pinko coming down to the line. He will set a lap time of 1:16.928. That's good enough for 2nd, but no one is close to Boothie thus far. And Trap Paulo sets a time, but it's only a 1:26.114. He's going for another lap. So now we have an idea what we're looking at. XRL Fiend, who is in the middle of an out lap, has a 1:18.227. He is on the bubble. Wax and Beeson are on the outside looking in. They're in the middle of out laps. And Zola, who'd had a decent lap go bad earlier when he got sideways in this sector of the circuit, is going to try and put a proper time up. He's down by 3/10 at the end of Sector 2. That's not going to spell very well for the Renault, though. Will gain a lot of time in Sector 3 compared to his prior lap because he wasn't all sideways going uphill. but he lost time in sectors 1 and 2. Ooh, really sideways getting the car basically on 2 wheels, going over the first curb there. Kinsey Retro retires in the session. He feels no need to push harder. At the line, Zola goes up to 12th, 117.869. Mr. Anderson, the Ferrari is now on the bubble with Fiend, Wax, Beastian all on outlaps. Trap Palos is coming down now. He is up by 6.8 seconds. This could be a very good lap in the Williams. Leaning on the ERS, and the DRS now pops open. Danny retires from the session. He feels no need to go farther. Trap Palos, he sets a time of 118.402. That's not going to be enough. He needs to improve more. Fiend is currently the driver ahead of him. Wax is up by 88 thousandths at the end of Sector 1, while Beastian needs to improve massively. He is 1.5 seconds off the time that Mr. Anderson has set. Mercedes team has had a lot of struggles this season. Now, they were able to make up some good ground, though, at Singapore. Beastian, right now, the focus of the team lays on him. He is up, but only up by about 36 hundredths. That's not going to be enough to get him into Q2. Behind him is Wax. And then behind them is Trap Palos and Fiend. Beastian coming through the last 2 corners now. Runs a little bit wide. Now around that final corner, the DRS is going to pop open. At the line, he will set a lap time of 119.127. He's still not even in the 118 range right now. Trap Palos is coming across the line now, as is Fiend. Fiend goes up to 9th. He improved by 3/4 of a second. Now Waddington, by retiring early, has taken himself out of the running. Wax is going for another lap. Beastian's going for another lap as well. Elfin Starfish is in the middle of an out lap, but he is not going to be able to make it to the line in time. The time he has right now, 118.084, is the best he's going to get. The focus is on Wax and Beastian. Wax is on a cooldown lap. He is down by 5 seconds. So now the question is, can Beastian do anything? The times have shifted. He now needs to improve by roughly 1.1 seconds, and he pulls off completely. He has abandoned any chance of going faster, and Wax is on a cooldown lap. Mr. Anderson never left the pits to go for another shot. Elfin Starfish is going to advance into the next round, as will the Williams of Trap Palos, the Renault of Smoothie, who is actually on an improved lap right now. Hazel will advance, PPR Venom will advance, XRL Fiend will advance as he is on a cooldown lap right now. Hazel, Kinsey Retro, Young Maneuver, Higsby, XRL Low, Danny, Pinklow, Ryan Hurricane, and Boothie, and no one even came close to Boothie's time. But real quickly, I want to focus on Smoothie. He's up by Smokeweed every day, thousandths of a second there at the end of Sector 2, as he now goes uphill to Sector 3. Trap Palos retires from the session officially. And here it comes, Smoothie at the line. How much does he improve by? He knocks himself up to 6th with a 117.296. So the Renaults absolutely have capability here. But the driver we're really going to be putting our focus on is going to be Boothie. He is faster than Ryan Hurricane's best time by roughly 0.6 of a second. It's over half a second. That could end up being huge once we get into the main race itself. We anticipate Wax will retire from the session shortly, and then when he does, we begin moving on. So Boothie at the top, Ryan Hurricane, Pinkwo, Danny JJ02, XR Low, Smoothie, Higgs, Young Maneuver, Kinsey Retro, XRL Fiend, PPR Venom, Hazel, Zola, Trap Palos, Alpha, Starfish. They are all the drivers who advance in. A. Waddington does not advance, neither does Mr. Anderson, XRL Wax, Level 6 Beastian, or XRL Steel. Alright, now I prepare to set up for the race proper for the top 10 positions. This is going to be where it gets a little bit more interesting because now everyone decides what tire strat compound they're going to want to run. Now, when we did the preseason test race here, we only had about 12 drivers show up, and it wasn't a lot of action throughout, but the big thing that let Wax take the win there was a medium and hard tire compound, just a single stop. So the one-stop strategy still reigns somewhat supreme here, but otherwise in XRL, it's been defeated for a long time, so it will be interesting to see if anyone is able to make the one-stop work or not. Here you see Boothie on the way down, but he was beaten by both of the Haas's of Elfin Starfish and Pinkwa, as we see Pinkwa now coming into the corner of turn 1. Now we see the first of the McLarens are out, both Renaults are out, one of the Williams are coming out, as is the AlphaTauri, that is XRL Fiend, who is now joining the track. So about half the field is coming out to the circuit. And right now it seems to be a relatively even split of mediums and soft tire compound choices across the paddock. We'll likely see that change to a lot more softs when we come closer to the end of this session. Hazel hasn't left the pits yet. Zola pulling over there. Turn 6 to let other drivers pass so he can get a little bit cleaner track in front and behind him. There's no one behind Zola right now, so he can continue to just stay way back. Right now he's hanging out behind his teammate Smoothie 25, and he might try to get a little bit of a DRS draft off of him going down the main straight to give him a better flyer lap. Boothie is now in the middle of a flyer lap as we speak. In the Red Bull machine, up by 6/10 in Q1. We'll be interested to see if he does the same thing here. Oh, and he invalidates. That's not going to help him very much. But here we are, Zola and Smoothie, a little bit of a draft of each other. In fact, Smoothie moves over to let Zola by. So Zola has a really good shot at putting down a great lap here. Venom is in the middle of an outlap right now. We have 6 drivers still in pit lane. Elfin Starfish will be the first driver to set a time, though, with a 1:18.592. He is immediately beat by his teammate Pinko, who sets a 1:17.717. Around that uphill blind 90-degree corner, he pops open the DRS. See the AlphaTauri moved out of the way, so not to harm the Renault's lap time. Going up the hill. Danny to the top, 1:17.260. He did that on medium tires. A little bit of a hiccup there in the gears by Zola. But it's still clean. He's still going. Coming to the last corner. Onto the main straightaway. Pops up in the DRS. And at the line, he will set a time of 1:17.945. Trap Paulos has the slowest time with a 1:20.425. We imagine that he will be able to improve that. Boothie is going for another shot right now in the Red Bull. And open that rear wing for the DRS. The rear wing pops open on only specialized straights to enable, and something has happened to one of the AlphaTauris there in turn 2. That is PPR Venom. He has had a spin coming out of turn 2. Now he gets it back underway. Now I don't see any damage on that car. If he was in the middle of a flying lap, well, yeah, it's not going to be a very good flying lap to say the least, sadly. Ryan Hurricane is in the middle of an outlap right now, and he will be the next driver to set a lap time. As we see, this is Danny. He's on a cooldown lap right now. Trap Palos, though, is still pushing. He wants to see if he can go faster. Still not a very fast time from him, but he does improve. He goes up to 118.294. So 6 drivers set lap times on mediums and 1 driver. Pinko has set a lap time on the soft tire compound. Higsby is the only other driver right now who has the softs equipment. He is still in pit lane. This is PPR Venom. And it's not going to be a good lap for him after he spun around coming out of turn 2. And I would not be surprised if they go ahead and bring him in just to refuel. Nope. They think that they have enough. He's going to go for another lap. So he will try to be the 8th driver to set a lap time in this session. Well, he is there, 132.699, but that's not a practical time. Ryan Hurricane is in the middle of an outlap, middle of a flying lap as we speak. Let's see, the Alpha Tari getting a little bit squirrely coming out of turn 2. They're very aggressive with the nose of the car. Handling, and Zola is swapping over his soft tire compounds. This could be very interesting, while Higsby has swapped over to mediums. Uphill, and now around that blind 90-degree right-hander, DRS pops open, and at the line, he is up by 14.2 seconds. That would be enough to put him, if he keeps that, put him in 6th. Boothie, 116.756, still has the fastest time, and Ryan Hurricane has just gone up to 3rd fastest, 117.674. Oh, and that is absolutely terrifying for Venom as he spins around, and he missed. He hit the wall for the pit lane entry in the process, and there is front wing damage. He's going to have to make a slow drive all the way around the circuit, and will need to get that wing replaced, and might need to change the tires as well, because those will probably be flat spotted. Meanwhile, Young Maneuver is in the middle of a flying lap right now, as is XRL, as is Higsby, as is Hazel. Zola is on an outlap on the softs. He wants to see if he can challenge Boothie at the top right now. This is Hazel. He's invalidated the lap he is currently on and will need to try again. Oh, and Kinsey Retro just pulls over completely off the circuit so as not to harm any other drivers. He is going to try and go for a flyer lap shortly here, but it's going to be kind of awkward for him because of where he's located on the circuit. He is basically by default not going to have a good run onto the main straightaway. He's trying to maximize it as much as he can, but I hate to say it, it's not looking very good for him. Higsby has invalidated the lap he was in the middle of. Smoothie is in the middle of a flying lap, and Hazel, another invalid lap in the Alfa Romeo. Fiend is the driver on the bubble, with Venom looking on the outside. As Smoothie is going through Sector 2 right now. He's closing in on the Alfa Romeo. That is Hazel just ahead. Hazel runs nice and wide so as not to harm Smoothie's lap time. He'll use that extra runoff there. 51.082 for Smoothie at the end of Sector 2, so it's not going to be a great lap unless he can pull some good time out here. That's a slow Williams up ahead. He will not factor in. That was Trap Palos who had pulled over. Smoothie, very smooth right now. Very E25 right now. As he's coming to the line, the DRS pops open. He will set a lap time of 118.187. So now the focus is on Higsby, because Kinsey Retro has invalidated the lap he was on. DRS is open, and at the line, 50.9 for Higsby, so he's a little bit faster than Smoothie at the end of Sector 2. Elf and Starfish on the bubble right now, and Smoothie might get knocked into the bubble shortly if Higsby can keep it good through these last 3 corners. Very smooth, exiting the chicane. Putting the power down, the DRS pops open, and at the line, Higsby sets a time of 1:17.964, so he now goes to 8th. Smoothie has been pushed onto the bubble, and Elfin Starfish is now on the outside looking in. Smoothie is in the middle of a lap right now, but he is on a cool-down lap. You can see that McLaren, I believe that was Lowe, wasn't it? No, it was Danny. Danny is in the middle of a good lap. He is up by 2/10 right now. His teammate Lowe has abandoned his lap, but Danny is going to go faster. He's really trying to see if he can do anything to Boothie right now, but he gets squirrely at the top of the hill in Sector 3. Needs to be very smooth through here in order to maximize his time. Fiend retires from the ending, and Danny invalidates his lap. Fiend retires from the session, so Fiend will not advance. And for Danny, he does not have much fuel left. It's going to be interesting to see if he'll be able to make it around in time and then go out for another shot, if he even thinks it's worth going out for another shot. Kinsey Retro will be the last driver to set a lap time in the session in the Red Bull. Now that final corner, the DRS pops open, and he will set a lap time of 1:18.290. He is on the outside looking in. Smoothie is your driver on the bubble, as Hazel is trying desperately to get another clean lap in. Zola retires relatively early from the session. He's 7th, but he seems to feel very confident. Right now, he is the only driver on the soft tire compound in the top 14, let alone in the top 10. Kinsey Retro on another lap here. Trying to make something happen on the mediums. He needs to improve by roughly, well, he's slow right now, so he must be on some sort of cooldown lap, I imagine. Kinsey will need to find some way to improve by roughly 11/100ths of a second. For Hazel, it's even shorter. He just needs to improve by 1/10. He is also on a cooldown lap, it seems. Either that or he's setting up for a flyer. He's charging up the ERS. Kinsey's got the ERS fully charged. Hazel has the ERS fully charged. So they're going to go hardcore. Hazel comes into the pits. So Hazel will pretty much abandon his attempts. Unless he can make it out into the track real quickly, he will basically have abandoned his attempts. Kinsey Retro, same scenario. He is abandoning his attempt as well. PPR Venom, though, is on the soft tire compounds. He's up by 5.2 seconds, but that would still put him 15th. He's not even close to the times necessary. Kinsey retires from the session. He feels that there is no point to push harder. And that is Young Maneuver, who is on another outlap trying to see if he can improve right now. Smoothie is out there, and Venom has invalidated the lap he is on, so he needs to start backing it down and start charging the ERS back up. Danny retires from the session. He feels no need to push harder. Smoothie trying to defend against a potential return by Hazel and Elfin Starfish and defend against this driver here, PPR Venom. The gap between Venom and Smoothie is massive right now, although it will close in a little bit. It would have closed in a little bit here if not for the fact that Venom invalidated this lap. He will come around and try one more time. He's got, I don't know about the fuel, but he has enough time to do this lap and one more. Smoothie 25. It looks like he's going to have enough time to do one more flyer lap. Hazel and Elfin Starfish are not on the way out, so right now it is between Smoothie and Venom to make it into the next session. Hazel has swapped to the softs, but with only 1 minute and 13 seconds left in the session, it's not going to matter. Hazel retires from the session. He knows that he is not going to get another shot at this. Venom is up. And he's into the wall with a humongous accident! And the car twitched just a little bit coming up the hill, and it is destroyed. Oh, and this could be very bad, because here comes Young Maneuver. He's on a flying lap. He will avoid. That is not good at all for PPR Venom, and his chance of making it to the next round is over, and that means that this session, for all intents and purposes, is done for. And the driver who's really breathing a sigh of relief at that is Smoothie 25. knowing that he now no longer has to worry. He is locked into the next session as long as it doesn't crash in these next few corners. I'm going to try and get Venom in here to see what happened. Fuel a little bit low in that Renault. Here we are, coming into the party right now with us is PPR Venom. Venom, go ahead, include your audio. What happened that led to that huge crash in Sector 2? Absolute terrible, Venom, because I will admit it looked like you might have had enough pace to, I don't know about making it into Q3, but at least get 11th or 12th. So it's an absolute shame to see that happen to you. Out of curiosity, do you think you'll be able to recover in the race, though? Alright, well, that's your word from your 15th place starter, PPR Venom. Going to try and make a move from the mid-rear of the field to the front. Boothie, Danny, JJ, Ryan, Pinko, Smoothie, Low, Young Maneuver, Zola, Higsby, and Trap are the drivers who will advance, as Hazel, Kinsey, Retro, Elfin, Starfish, Fiend, and Venom will not advance in the next session. And of interest, everyone put their fastest lap in on the medium tire compounds. So there will be no unique strategies going on, it seems. Everyone's going to go from a medium, probably right to a hard, and try to one-stop this race. Alright, and now it comes down to it. We are looking at the big one, the showdown for the pole. Boothie seems to be a lock for the pole. He has been consistently a half-second faster than Danny and Ryan Hurricane. But outside of that, everything from second on down is up for grabs. And we saw the same thing in Dev, where one driver dominated all of qualifying, but ended up losing out going into turns 1 and 2. And ended up spending about a third of the race stuck behind another car. So the fight for second could be a very, very worthy one, to say the least, as we now see the Red Bull Boothie beginning to pull out on the circuit. He is followed right afterwards by the two McLarens of Danny JJ02 and XRL Low. And if they have any intelligence in the McLaren team, which I imagine they absolutely do, you don't get to this level without having some level of intelligence, I imagine we'll see the two McLarens try to do a little bit of DRS shenanigans so Danny can get a great tow down the main straightaway. Now we see the two Renaults of Zola and Smoothie trying to come out onto the track. Ryan Hurricane is coming out onto the circuit as well. So we are looking at only about 3 drivers who aren't onto the circuit yet, because now we see Trap Paulos coming off of pit lane as we speak. But right now, it is Boothie leading the two McLarens. Now he's going to pull over and let both McLarens get a little bit of a run where they don't have to worry about him. Danny is the one leading this pair with XRL Low behind. Again, ideally, Danny would pull over, let Low get in front, so he can utilize DRS on him going down the main straightaway. Danny, Low is backing off significantly from Danny. So there's not going to be any DRS shenanigans between the two, and that's interesting. Right now, Higsby and Young Maneuver are the only two drivers who are not onto the track right now. As Danny begins a flying lap, and he'll be joined right afterwards by his teammate Low, and then the Red Bull of Boothie. Boothie has been a consistent driver within X3, consistent mid to upper field driver, making his run here in XRL right now. Danny, one of your championship contenders, trying to see what he can do to get onto the front row here. Now, time to go uphill. No movement from Higsby or Young Maneuver yet. So nothing from the Tracing Point team as Danny 50.280 at the end of the line there. Compare that to Boothie, who at the end of the line is turning a 50.132. So Boothie is faster, but he's not massively outpacing Danny thus far. And all it takes is a bad run through Sector 3 for Boothie, and Danny might be able to take and hold on to the top spot. So Danny sets the bar right at the beginning for qualifying Session 3. He will set a lap time of 1:16.791. Right afterwards, though, here comes Boothie. Lowe will come across the line, but in the pits as he has abandoned his lap. Boothie 1:16.852, so not a great run through Sector 3 for Boothie. Lost a good chunk of time. Smoothie sets a time of 1:17.116. Now Ryan Hurricane goes to the top, 1:16.665. And now Zola goes across the line, 1:17.639. Pinquo and Trap Palos are coming around. Trap Palos and the Williams will come across the line. He will set a time of 1:21.110. He can definitely improve on that. And Pinquo comes across the line with a 1:16.816. So Boothie, not a great first lap. He's fourth when we're expecting him to easily lock up pole very quickly here. But Boothie has fuel still in the car, and he can go for another flyer lap if he so chooses, which seems to be what he's doing now. You can see him running the Red Bull uphill, around that blind 90-degree corner, pops open. He does not pop open the DRS. This is very interesting. He's on a cool down lap right now, though. So he has the fuel. He could have probably gone for another lap, but he's going to hold off and wait for now. Higsby is now in the middle of an out lap, and Lowe is coming back out onto the racetrack itself as his teammate Danny comes into the pits. Still no movement from Young Maneuver. And here we are. Boothie now lays into the ERS and the DRS. He's going to try and go for a real flyer lap this time, as most everyone else is coming back into the pit lane. Not Higsby, although he invalidated that out lap. He is now going to begin to set a flyer. He will try and be the 8th driver to set a lap time in this session. Trap Palos is up by about 1.2 seconds, so he improves up to 1:19.9, but he's still 2.3 seconds off of Zola's time right now. So Trap Palos really needs to improve even more. He's made a good step forward, but he still needs to get even more out of that car. Higsby in the middle of a flyer lap right now, as is Boothie. And Boothie has invalidated the lap he is currently on. Boothie now is in a position where he runs the risk of throwing away any chance he had of getting pole, because time is running out and running out fast. For Higsby, though, here we are, is Danny, who is now beginning to run out as Lowe is beginning his flyer lap, and it looks like those McLarens are going to time it relatively well. Two McLarens might be close enough to get a little bit of a DRS off of each other, but Higsby coming through the last few corners right now. Got pop open the DRS on the front straightaway, and at the line he will set a time good enough for 1:17.247. Trap Palos abandons the lap. He was up by 1.1 seconds, but it was invalid, so he abandons the lap, comes into the pits, and will try again. Young Maneuver, still no movement in that team. There's no indication that Young Maneuver is going to come out into the racetrack. Lowe is in the middle of a lap right now. He'll try and be the 9th driver to set a time. He gets the DRS and a little bit of a draft off of his teammate Danny. He is now ahead of Danny. Danny needs to get right underneath Lowe so he can get the DRS on him going down the straightaway. They may have timed it relatively well. Lowe might not have a great lap time, but Danny might be able to steal pole because Boothie was not able to get a good lap early on here. I don't think so. I don't think Danny's close enough to really get a good draft off of Lowe. He's going to try to. They both have DRS as Danny begins another flyer lap. Lowe sets a lap time. It's not a very good lap time, but he set a lap time of 121.855. Both McLarens need to improve, but for different reasons. Right now, Lowe has the slowest time of them all, and Danny needs to see if he can beat Ryan Hurricane for the fastest time. Trap Palos is coming back onto the track. He's going to try and improve a little bit more now. Young Maneuver is in the middle of an outlap, so he will set a lap time, assuming he doesn't invalidate every attempt or crash out. But he is attempting to set a lap. He's waiting until the last minute, but he's going for it. As we now see movement in the Renault pits, as one of the Renault drivers are on their way out now also. Lowe and Danny both have DRS going down this straightaway, and Danny has a little bit of draft off of Lowe. Danny's up by 17 hundredths at the end of Sector 2. We will definitely see a better lap time from Lowe. We could see a great lap time from Danny here. McLaren's really synced everything up. We don't see this very often in XRL. It's a viable strategy, but it's very hard to make work. I don't know how Danny didn't invalidate the lap there with the cut, but it's still legal. Both McLarens pop up with the DRS, lean into the ERS. Danny to the top, 116.519. Lowe goes up to 6 with a 117.134. Young Maneuver is in the middle of a lap right now. Boothie is also beginning a flying lap as we speak. What can Boothie do? Currently, he is 3.4 seconds out from Danny in lap times. He is up by almost that exact amount in Sector 1 alone. Boothie is going to try and get the pole. Real quickly, we're looking at Young Maneuver. He has put on some great runs in qualifying earlier in the season, great runs in the race. Hard on the throttle, hard on the ERS, pops up in the DRS at the line. Young Maneuver goes to second, 116.632. What about Boothie? He's invalidated. Boothie has invalidated another lap. He immediately slows it down. He needs to conserve as much fuel as he can, so that way he can go one more lap. He also needs to conserve ERS, so he can really lean hard onto that. He's going to come to a brief stop, so that way other drivers can get by. Ryan Hurricane is on another outlap, going to try and improve. Young Maneuver, though, second fastest time, 116.632, and Danny, with a little bit of team shenanigans in the McLaren team, is currently at the top. He will retire from the session. I say he's retiring because there's less than 2 minutes left. There's not enough time for him to get out there and set another set of laps. Boothie, trying to go for another lap. Pops up in the DRS hard on the RS down the straightaway. Shuts the rear wing and now begins his run uphill and ends up in the dirt. That's not good for the Red Bull. Boothie, who dominated the first 2 rounds of qualifying, now seems to be choking, nearly cuts down in front of Higsby. Trap Palos has now improved up to a 117.561, but he is still the slowest driver on track. Ryan Hurricane. He's going to want to at least try to get onto the front row so he can directly counter anything Danny can do on the front row. He's up by over a quarter of a second now. If he can keep that together, that would be enough to get him on the pole. Pinkwo to the top. I wasn't even following him, but Pinkwo to the top, 116.491. Around the final corner, the DRS pops up and on the Ferrari. Hurricane at the line to the top, 116.369. And now here comes Zola. He has invalidated the current lap he is in the middle of. His teammate Smoothie is in the middle of another attempt. Zola, the time is running out fast. He has abandoned all attempt. So Zola will not be able to start any better than 7th. And time's up. Over. Plow. Higsby is in the middle of a flyer lap. He is up by 13 hundredths right now. Boothie is in the middle of a lap. He is up by almost a quarter of a second, but everyone else's time has improved so much that Boothie needs to get even more than that. The driver everyone is anticipating to get pull after he dominated Q1 and Q2. Can he pull it out? This is his last attempt. He's opened up the DRS, leaning hard on the DRS down the straight. He is up by almost 2/10 at that line. But that alone won't be enough. He needs to be up by nearly a half second. He needs to pull out a masterful Sector 3 here. Hard on the DRS. The DRS pops open at the line. Does Boothie go to the top? Yes, he does! 1:16.006. Hurricane abandons the lap he was on. Smoothie is going to abandon the lap he was on also. The session is over. And at the last moment, Boothie makes it all work. And he will go to the top. And the points leader, Ryan Hurricane, will start second. His rival in the points, Danny, will start fifth. But Boothie, it is going to be great for him starting on the front row. Now he just needs to not get beat by Ryan Hurricane coming to the line. And here is your lineup for the top 10 going into this event. And again, every one of these drivers will be starting this race on the medium tire compounds. Anyways, we're going to take a brief break here on our end. Just go a little bit quiet. The broadcast is not going anywhere. We're just taking a little bit of a break before we get into the race proper here at Catalunya. Again, we will be here. Just taking a brief break on my end. Alright, so anyways, we are here at Spain. We should be getting underway relatively shortly. A full, roughly 2-hour long race here today. We're going to be looking at the dev race earlier was pretty chaotic. A lot of interesting stuff happened throughout. I'm going to be interested to see if we have a similar event here for today's event. Yes, staying by right now until we can get into the race proper. Alright, we went ahead, ran down the championship battle. Right now, because Danny JJ02 missed last week's race, Ryan Hurricane has a 2-point lead over him, and Ryan will be starting second alongside Boothie, as Boothie absolutely dominated Q1 and Q2. He waited a long time to set his flyer lap in Q3, but when he did, it was a masterclass lap. And the interesting thing about Boothie is that Boothie put it all together in the very last bit of the circuit, going through Sector 3. Prior to that, he still wasn't even set to be on the front 2 rows, but he put everything together in Sector 3. Having a good Sector 3 is going to mean a lot in today's race. Again, the big thing is that a lot of drivers are going to try to do a one-stop strategy, we imagine, going from mediums that they'll start the race on straight to hards, or vice versa, starting on the hard tire compounds and then going straight to the mediums, as everyone is beginning to ready up and get onto the track proper. Four lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, and away we go here at Catalonia. And right off the bat, everyone seems to be relatively good, but the Red Bull slides into the dirt, and that's Ryan Hurricane and Pinkwell, who are going to go straight into the first bit of the circuit. Neck and neck for the top spot between 2 Ferrari-powered cars, that looks like Pinkwell might end up on top, and it's going to be Ryan Hurricane who goes to the top. And Boothie had an absolute nightmarish start, goes from first all the way down to 6th. There's a Renault off. That's Zola back there in the back of the field who went off, but we are still green. Oh, and Boothie is going to go around, and there's a massive accident, and 4 or 5 cars pile into it. There's a Ferrari, there's a Red Bull, there's a McLaren, and there's a ton of cars there, as we still see Trap Paulos, who has gone completely off circuit, and it's a safety car, as Boothie, who was the fastest driver all day long, had a bad start, overturned the car, going through Sector 1, going into Sector 2, blocked the track, and we are now under a full course safety car. That is not what they wanted to see. And here's the other thing. Pinkwell ended up taking the lead from Ryan Hurricane, and now Danny is right there behind Ryan. So this really, really shook things up across the entire field. The fastest driver throughout all of qualifying is now out of the points paying positions, and he will have to pit to repair damage to that car. As we are now under the full course yellow safety car. What a chaotic start, to say the least. Elfin Starfish is coming into the pits, as is Hazel. You see right there, Hazel and Steele both started on the soft tire compounds, trying to make some moves up to the field nice and early on the event. Now Elfin Starfish is going to put on hards, as will XRL Wax. Basically everyone outside of the top 13 in pit lane. Oh, and Kinsey has spun. under yellow. Kinsey has spun his Red Bull coming out of turn number 2. Now, there's no damage on that car, so as long as the tires aren't too badly scuffed, he'll be able to continue. It's not good for Kinsey, to say the least. Wax is coming out of the pits. Here's Mr. Anderson coming out of the pits. Here is Level 6 Beastian coming out of the pits. Here is Trap Palos now coming out of the pits as well. But the field is back there in Sector 2, so it's going to be pretty much another full lap, likely, until the likes of Beastian and Trap Palos properly catch the back of the field. Now, here's the other thing. Steel is still running soft tire compounds, so if he can keep that Mercedes under control and get some good runs, he will be able to fly up through the field, and having these early laps under yellow with a lot of drivers who are higher up getting knocked out really is going to help Steel. He could pull off a good run today if things go well and he keeps that Merc clean and on track. Here is Wax, who is rushing to catch up to the back of the field right now. We should see him and Mr. Anderson catch the back of the field before this lap is over. Then Beastian will probably catch just about the time that they come to the start-finish line. And then Trap Palos will catch shortly afterwards. So we should go green coming on to lap 4. After a massive multi-car incident in turn 4, as your pole sitter had a bad start, plummeted through the field, overturned the car in turn 4, ended up leading to a large accident. We are Beastian and Trap Palos racing down the main straightaway, and you should be able to see, you can see right up there at the back of the field, so yes, they will catch the rear of the field here, and we will be gaining green shortly. But for Boothie, this is not how he wanted to start the race, not at all. The good news, the biggest benefit, though, is that no one is out, and a lot of the drivers, this will be almost like a free pit stop for them because the damage to their cars were not terminal. The only bad part, though, is that because of the nature of Catalunya and how there's not really much of overtaking opportunities, there's kind of an overtaking opportunity if you lunge on the inside going into 4. There's a very, very rare overtaking opportunity on the backstretch, and then there's a dive bomb in turn 1. So because of that, it's going to be very hard for these drivers in the back to properly advance through the field. And if anyone's going to, my guess is going to be Pinquo. Pinquo has had an instant. Pinquo has had an instant and has dropped all the way from 1st to 4th, and there's wing damage on that machine. And there's the word, safety car in this lap, and something has gone wrong with Pinquo. So now the leader of the race is your points leader, Ryan Hurricane. And second place in the race is second place in points, Danny JJ02. So, yeah, that was very weird. And there's wing damage on the Haas as well. So I don't know what happened, if the car spun or something when they were coming up the hill, because he's plummeted from 1st to 4th and now has a damaged car, but they're coming to the green flag. Right on board Danny as they come to the green flag, and Ryan Hurricane shoots out of there like he was shot from a cannon. Pinquo is actually putting pressure on Smoothie right at the line. Oh, and there's an Alpha into the wall, and that's Venom. And Venom has hit the inside wall, coming onto the main straightaway. Yeah, he's still there, still against the wall, and he will fall all the way to the back of the field. Christ, that was not good whatsoever. Elephant Starfish and Kinsey Retro having a little bit of a situation as Hazel goes right off circuit into the runoff, and he will fall down to 15th position. This is Waddington. He is being stalked by Zola, and he is chasing Higsby ahead of him. A little bit farther up, Young Maneuver has found himself now fighting with Pinquo as they're going to go neck and neck. And it looks like the downforce that is hurting. Oh, and that's Boothie, and Boothie has had another accident back there in the back of the field. And from the top to the bottom to top to stop, for Boothie 116 in the Red Bull. The absolute worst thing that could have happened, you start on the front row and go right to the back. Lowe, meanwhile, has Pinkwo in his sights. Fiend has gotten by. Everyone's gotten by Pinkwo. It seems like that wing damage is showcasing an even bigger problem with the car here, as now Lowe is going to set his sights on the Haas. And once DRS enables, it's going to be even worse for him. Waddington, meanwhile, is leading a little pack of his own. Here we are, neck and neck, and Lowe sends it up the inside. A little bit of contact with Pinkwo, but it doesn't matter. Move the McLaren up into 6th position. Venom comes into the pits to repair the damage that happened when he spun, lining the tires up for the green flag. Oh, look at this. Waddington already by Pinkwo. Now it's Higsby's turn. Higsby sees Pinkwo. The damage on that Haas must be a lot more than it just looks like. It looks like it's just missing one wing plate, but he is slow around the entire circuit. He is basically holding up the entire field behind him right now. Higsby will have a great chance to overtake him going down onto this straightaway here. Now it's Zola who will have the chance. Zola's going to go around the outside of Pinkwo, and now Steele is going to be setting his sights on the Haas. Well, he'll set his sights on the Haas once Zola finishes the overtake. And there's the word from Race Control. DRS has been enabled, as Pinkwo finally comes into the pits to repair the damage. So Steele is now up into the 10th position, and he will start being able to utilize DRS on Zola, if not for a fact that Zola is fighting with Higsby. He's going to try and go around the outside of the main contact, and Higsby goes around from the contact, hits the inside wall. And he is not going to be happy about that, not in the slightest, I can imagine. There's definitely going to be some harsh words and finger wagging going on between the two after this race is over. I don't know what's up with Beastie there. Beastie went really wide on the circuit. That was great for Steele, because now Steele is up into the 8th position on soft tires, and he started dead last. So although he's pretty much locked into a 2-stop strategy, he'll probably go soft, medium hards, or soft, medium, mediums if he wants to really drag the medium tires out. He has now gained a ton of positions from where he was at the start of this race. And a little bit farther up, you have this little bit of a train that's going to form. Fiend is following Young Maneuver, and Young Maneuver is following Smoothie 25. Now, Smoothie 25 is not going to have DRS. Young Maneuver will. So, with the DRS and ERS combination, we will likely see those two close in. Here we are. To the inside goes Young Maneuver, neck and neck going into turns 1 and 2. But Smoothie cut off the tracing point at the last minute, and that brought Fiend back into play there. Elephant Starfish just gets by Mr. Anderson there outside the top 10. So Young Maneuver just staying within DRS range, but not able to make anything happen yet, as Lowe is now closing in on this battle. Smoothie really holding up this entire field right now, as Higsby's coming into the pits to repair the damage that he suffered when he had that incident with Zola. Oh, and Elephant Starfish and Steele! Steele has gone off circuit there. You gotta be a little bit more careful coming onto the circuit than that, Steele, just saying. Oh, and Beastien! And in the process, Beastien ended up having to swerve to avoid his teammate, so now both Mercedes drivers are compromising each other. Wow, things go from bad to worse fast here, don't they? Mr. Anderson, Elephant Starfish neck and neck. Kinsey Retro is watching them go at it. You can't be going neck and neck through these corners. Elephant Starfish is gonna go around into the infield, and now move Kinsey Retro up into 11th. Oh, Wax has to come skittering through on the rear tires just so he doesn't end up hitting Starfish. So now Wax is going to have a chance to possibly overtake the Haas coming onto the main straightaway. DRS open. It's going to be a very open and shut overtake for Wax, so move Wax up into the 12th position, as Mr. Anderson and Kinsey Retro are going side by side for the last point-paying position. Right now, Mr. Anderson holds the advantage. A little bit farther up at the very front of the field, Danny is holding on strong behind Ryan Hurricane. And one nice thing about this for Danny is that although his tires are going to be going through a lot more wear, he can afford to be a little bit more aggressive on the fuel because he will have DRS on the Ferrari on every straight that the DRS is available. So he can turn up the wick with fuel and actually lighten that car just slightly faster than the Ferrari can while still keeping a good amount of speed. And Venom has had an accident. Venom has just crashed out of the event. We're going to try and get him into here and see what he has to say that took him out of the race. That is a virtual safety car across the entire field now. Alright, here we are. Coming into the party with us right now is PPR Venom. Venom, go ahead, include your audio. What happened to take you out of this race so soon? Venom, can you hear me? Yeah, what happened that took you out of the race already? It's a shame to see you taken out so quickly in this event. Your teammate, though, XRL Fiend, is currently running 6th. Do you think he has a chance to maybe regain points for the team, though? He's just spun! Just as I said that, he just spun off the circuit. Sorry about that. Well, hopefully, when you come to the next race, your results are a little bit more solid and your setups are a little bit more reliable. Anyways, that's the word from PPR Venom. Struggling with getting the car properly set up and handled with the hard tire compounds as Low plummets through the field, serving a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. The real interesting thing, well, two interesting things, Boothie has caught Trap Paulos. Oh, and Steele has just spun himself around now at the top of the circuit. And there's significant front wing damage on his car. There's no one around him, though. That was pretty interesting. Oh, and Wax and Beastian going neck and neck, and Wax is going to take the position over the Mercedes of Beastian now. But the one thing I do want to focus on, Danny's still hanging out right behind the rear wing of Ryan Hurricane. I'm sure Ryan Hurricane's fine with that. As long as Danny's behind him and not making a move on him, he is fine because it will enable him to further open the gap he has on Danny in the points. We are Young Maneuver, still putting some pressure on Smoothie. These two have opened up a bit of a gap on Waddington and the rest of the field as Boothie now has a time penalty for track violation warnings. Kenzie Retro in the 11th position, looking at Lowe, who is 10th. But Kenzie has a time penalty, while Lowe does not. We are coming down the straight. Not the straight, the corner that is turn 3, now diving into 4. Still nothing really that can be done for the top 2. But here's something that might be interesting. Starfish is really aggressively defending the inside, so Boothie's going to have to try and make an outside overtake work, and it looks like that's exactly what's happened there. And there is a Mercedes off, and that is Steele, who's gone off again. He just put on fresh mediums, and now there's significant front wing damage. That was right in front of this pairing of Young Maneuver and Smoothie 25. Also, I just want to give a little bit of credit to Hazel. Hazel took damage in that instant, put on a different set of medium tires, came back on the track. He is now running 7th, so he is recovered back into the top 10. Mr. Anderson is also recovered into the 9th position as well. Most of the battles, though, have pretty much spaced out and kind of gone away at this point. Everyone's running a little bit more than a second apart from each other, except for first and second, and then third and fourth. They're a little bit closer to each other, but otherwise, most of the battles have already degenerated into nothing in this field. Something's gone wrong. Danny's made a mistake. He has fallen off the back of Ryan Hurricane now. There was a yellow flag in Sector 2 when that happened, so I have to wonder if Danny might have made a mistake. He has now fallen off the back of Ryan Hurricane. While farther back, Young Maneuver continues to put pressure on Smoothie 25. Really aggressive with that tracing point. Enough to do anything on the straight, though. So here's an interesting scenario. Boothie is closing in on his teammate Kinsey Retro, and Kinsey is closing in on XRL Low. But none of them are quite in a position to where they can make an overtake on each other. Although Kinsey has DRS on Low, is able to close in on him on the straight, he's not closing enough to get alongside of him. And that's the thing with Catalunya. This main straight is just short enough that you don't really hit terminal velocity, and the DRS doesn't really show its greatest speed until you're going downhill at the very end of that straight. So it makes it very, very hard to make a good overtake happen. You basically have to be right under the rear wing of the driver ahead to make that overtake happen. While these two continue to run nose to tail, Smoothie 25 and Young Maneuver. Going downhill. Young Maneuver right underneath the rear wing of the Renault going into the chicane, but the Renault has a better time putting the power down coming onto the main straight. Young Maneuver is right there, though. He's close enough. He might be able to use a DRS-ERS combination to get by the Renault and move up into third position. He shoots to the inside. The Renault does not defend. Ooh, but Young Maneuver made a massive mistake, and he's going to have to give the position back so as not to get penalized. So he had the speed, but he botched the turn one, and he's stuck behind him once more. Lowe, meanwhile, has just gotten ahead of Mr. Anderson by the use of some good old DRS. Now Mr. Anderson is going to have to see if he can fight back, maybe going into turn 4. Not happening, though. Banquaz just overtook level 6 Beastian on the main straight. And here we are, once again, this battle between Young Maneuver and Smoothie continues to be the main highlight on the circuit. Again, we know that Young Maneuver can get by the Renault Smoothie 25, but the matter is, can he keep the line right at the end of the straight? Very good run once more for Young Maneuver. This would be a good shot. He's got DRS, ERS. He goes to the inside this time. And this time he overtakes him well before the end of the straightaway. So yes, this position now officially goes to Young Maneuver. And I imagine Smoothie will gradually drop off the back of that tracing point machine. Meanwhile, farther back, Boothie has gotten by his teammate Kinsey Retro, and he is in the back of this little DRS train that's forming. Boothie has caught Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson is behind Lowe, and Lowe is catching Zola. But right now, the interesting thing will be, can Lowe do anything to Zola? Because Lowe and Zola are pulling away from Mr. Anderson, but if the two of them get side by side, they'll compromise each other. Mr. Anderson will be close enough that he'll be able to use DRS to defend against Boothie down the straights. Boothie started on the pole, trying to recover from a lap 1 accident, and then incidents that have happened afterwards. He's currently in 11th, outside the points-paying positions. Ooh, you can see that Ferrari bounce as he went over the curbs. He was close enough, but Boothie has a better run coming onto the straight. It's going to be a DRS drag race down the line and move the Red Bull up ahead of the Ferrari. So Boothie on the recovery drive right now. And next he will put his focus on the McLaren and Renault, both of them running those Renault engines. The two of them neck and neck. Zola holding ahead of Lowe for the moment. Zola ran a little bit wide uphill through 4. Lowe was right there underneath. I think Lowe sees the Red Bull coming and wants to move by as fast as he can. Zola, time penalty for touching the dirt. Oh, you can see how quickly that Red Bull is closing in. Lowe is making the move this time, going into this corner. And he doesn't. He's gotten alongside the Renault. Now he needs to complete the overtake, and he does it. But in the worst way, Boothie goes around, and Boothie has just spun himself out in the process while he was following. So Zola and Boothie have both just gone around, but in 2 separate instances at the same part of the racetrack. Now Kenzie Retro goes back into the points-paying positions. Zola is going to have to come to the pits as Lowe got alongside Zola, the two of them neck and neck, and they just slammed into each other going side by side on a section of the track that you simply can't do it at. Boothie is now 4.1 seconds out from his teammate. He has to work his way again to try and get up through the field. It's not a good day for Boothie, to say the least. And for Mr. Anderson, that was great because now he is right there behind Lowe. And if he can just stay within DRS range, he might be able to get by Lowe for the 8th position. Pretty much all the other battles on the track have pretty much gone away. Pinquo is trying to close in on level 6 BCN for the 15th position though. But other than that, most of the on-track battles have pretty much dissipated. Well, I say that, but now Fiend is closing in on Waddington. He's going to try and get close enough to use the DRS-ERS combo on the straight to catch the Williams. He's going to have it. He will have DRS on the straight. In the slipstream of the Williams of Waddington ahead. He's now within half a second. Less than half a second. Now it's closer to about 4/10. DRS pops open for Fiend, so he is definitely within striking distance of Waddington, but he just needs to stay in striking distance coming out of the chicane. Pinquo is overtaking Wax for 14th position. Pinquo, who started near the front, got the lead and then had an incident under yellow flag, and since then it's just been a gradual fall through the field between damage and something. Oh, and that's Beastian, and Beastian has had an accident there. He's still on the racetrack, and there's no significant issue, but he has lost the spot to... He's lost the spot. I thought he lost the spot. It looked like he lost the spot. Maybe I'm wrong. That is his teammate Steele ahead, but Steele is a lap down. A little bit farther back farther right in the midfield. Once again, Boothie closing in on his teammate, Kinsey Retro. He's gotten by him twice already. He's going to try and do it again. Boothie a little bit faster over a single lap, but he seems to have trouble with keeping good pace throughout an entire run. He keeps making mistakes that massively compromise him. And Danny now has a time penalty as he's trying to run down Ryan Hurricane. He's just earned himself a time penalty that will not help with his attempt at overtaking the race leader and points leader. Boothie nearly runs right into the back of Kinsey there. Oh, and Smoothie and Young Maneuver are at it once again, and Smoothie has just gotten back in front of Young Maneuver. So the battle for a final step on the podium is still very much alive here. Boothie slips by Kinsey Retro using DRS on the main straight. That battle wasn't too significant, sadly to say. Fiend has gotten behind Waddington, but he's basically trapped now behind him. And as long as he's trapped behind Waddington, the closer and closer Hazel's going to come. The other battle to take into consideration is that Young Maneuver is going to fight back against Smoothie to try and get third position back going down the main straightaway. Ooh, a little bit of a bobble coming out of that corner. That will not help Young Maneuver's run. He needs to get perfect through the chicanes if he wants to try and make it happen this lap. That was good, but not good enough. He's nearly a second out from Smoothie. That's not going to help him. I think he'll have DRS on the straight. No, he does not have DRS on the straight. He actually fell off with Smoothie enough, so he does not have DRS. So Smoothie is going to solidify his position in third for just a little bit longer. Kinsey now has a time penalty for track violations. Hazel has caught Fiend, and Fiend is still there behind Waddington. He closes in massively. But Waddington defends on the inside, and there's nothing that Fiend can do about it. If these three battle for long enough, then Lowe will close in on the battle. Hazel thought of making a dive on Fiend there and thought better of it. The two cars ahead get a better launch coming out of turn 5. It seems like Hazel is a little bit faster than Fiend, and Fiend seems to be just as fast, if not faster, than Waddington. So Hazel could end up getting up into 5th if he can just time everything properly. Boothie, another 3-second time penalty for track violations. Now all three of these cars within a second of each other. Fiend getting a much better run coming out of the chicane than Hazel did, but Hazel having a better run coming onto the main straight. Fiend not close enough to Waddington, and though Hazel is trying, he's not able to close in because he has DRS, as does Fiend. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup from the Alpha. Trap Paulo's time penalty for track violations. Ryan Hurricane makes his first pit stop. Danny is going to stay out for a little bit longer. So green flag pit stops are now underway as drivers will start swapping from mediums to hards or hards to mediums. Well, I don't imagine very many people on hards will decide to start swapping now. Ryan Hurricane already falls down to 4th, and he's going to probably come out of this in 4th position. Again, Hazel really, really good on closing in on Fiend, but because Fiend has stalking Waddington, he has DRS on the car ahead, so there's nothing that Hazel can really do to Fiend. And the worst part is, Lowe is now closing in on the battle just a bit. Boothie's gotten back by Mr. Anderson. Now Boothie is back up into the 9th position. Trap Palos, Elf, and Starfish are going to briefly swap spots as they're going through sectors 1 and 2. As Hazel is there fighting with Fiend. It got a little bit closer than I anticipated, I won't lie. And as they keep fighting, if Hazel can just hold up Fiend enough so Fiend can't keep getting DRS off of Waddington, then Fiend will be able to slip by Hazel on the main straight. The problem is they've now fought long enough that Lowe is going to... There is no question of if, it's now a question of when will Lowe make a strike on Hazel. And Waddington is not pulling away from Fiend either, so we are seeing another DRS train forming. Danny is now making his pit stop. And Danny is going to come out onto the circuit ahead of Ryan Hurricane. Now the difference though is that Ryan Hurricane has warmer tires, so he can close in on Danny right away, but he needs to get to him and overtake him fast because Danny seems to be a little bit faster than Ryan here on the circuit. And now, this battle between Smoothie and Young Maneuver, which has gone on for so long, is now turned into the battle for the lead. Look at this. This is on board with Lowe as he's watching these 3 drivers all fight ahead of him. And he wants a piece of the action, but he wants a piece of the action without having to sacrifice a piece of the wing. A little bit of a bobble from Hazel. Fiend is right underneath Waddington once more. But Waddington has a better time coming down to the straight. Fiend backs out, and now Hazel didn't have DRS. And now Hazel's going to lose the spot to Lowe. It makes a little bit of contact. Now Lowe puts his sights on Fiend and Waddington. But Hazel is close enough to Lowe that if Lowe has to back out, Hazel might be able to get DRS back on the McLaren. A good old DRS train. Coming onto the main straight now, everyone having DRS on the car ahead. Fiend, though, not close enough again to do anything to Waddington. Waddington gets to ensure he defends the inside line. Look at Fiend, he closes in, but it's just not enough close. Not enough close? Not close enough. Ooh, and Hazel has a little bit of a bobble, and now he's going to lose touch with that battle. This is a battle. Trap Palos, Elf, and Starfish continuing their spat, and Pinkwell and the other Haas is ready to capitalize if something goes wrong. They're still neck and neck into turn 3, and it looks like on the outside, move Trap Palos up into the 12th position now. But here's another battle taking consideration. Young Maneuver still working on Smoothie 25. Neither of these 2 drivers have made their stop yet. And as these 4 continue to battle, Boothie is now closing in on them. And Boothie is way faster than all of these drivers combined. Hazel has DRS on Lowe, and Lowe has DRS on Fiend, and Fiend has DRS on Waddington. But again, as long as Waddington keeps getting a good run coming onto the straight, it'll be fine. Lowe might try and make a move on Fiend this time. He overloads the inside tire. Can't get it working yet. And Hazel falls off the back of this battle once more. Hazel, I think, is not quite as fast as the 3 drivers ahead, but because Waddington keeps holding up Fiend, and Fiend has to check up, and then Lowe has to check up to not hit Fiend, it keeps Hazel within the battle. And Elf and Starfish now goes back ahead of Trap Palos. And Pinkwell is still there, ready to capitalize. Here comes Pinquo on the outside. Trap Palos. A little bit of contact wheel to wheel. But the Williams is holding strong against the Haas. Haas goes to the inside. A lockup from the Williams, but the Haas did not have a good exit, so the Williams holds on to the 13th spot for now. This is Fiend's best chance. He just needs to maximize this run. Young Maneuver is making his pit stop now. He did not get a good enough run through the chicane once more. Waddington shoots out of there like a cannon every time. And because of that, although Fiend has DRS, it's not enough to do anything. And Hazel has basically lost this 3-car battle. So now Hazel is going to have to hold off Boothie because Boothie is now closing in. This is now turned into a 5-car DRS train. Trap Palos goes back by Elfin Starfish again on the straightaway, so those two just keep extending positions every single lap going into turn 1 right now. Here are Boothie has DRS on Hazel, but Hazel has DRS and is going to use that to defend against Boothie. If Boothie can maximize his run through Sector 3, which he saw he was able to do in qualifying, if he can maximize it, he might be able to overtake Hazel despite Hazel having DRS on the cars ahead. Trap Palos time penalty for track violation as Smoothie is going to pit out of the lead. So and Fiend is coming into the pits. He is done dealing with this. Boothie has DRS on Hazel. And he's gonna get him. No, he's not. Hazel locks up though. Boothie's still there, but he has to back out of it. But Fiend had enough of the battle. He was sick and tired, and that was perfect for Waddington. But now Lowe is the driver that Waddington is gonna have to worry about. And Hazel is dropping off very rapidly. I think this is gonna go from a 5-car DRS train to just a pair of 2-car battles now. And Boothie, without a doubt, is significantly faster than Hazel. If Hazel can just stay within a second of the McLaren ahead, and he will, so he will have DRS. I think he's going to have DRS on the back straightaway. So Boothie will have to wait another lap. No, he did not have DRS. He was just outside. So Boothie's going to go to the inside of the Alpha, neck and neck. A little bit of contact there. Neck and neck going up the hill, and Boothie, wow! Look at that, the car got all sorts of sideways, and Hazel was able to capitalize, and he's fighting back on the inside. Boothie now has another time penalty for track violations. And these two have now lost the battle between Lowe and Waddington. And Lowe is not Fiend. Lowe is Lowe, and he's going to try and do something different maybe to get by. Boothie comes into the pits to put on new tires. He was sick of those tires, so now that moves Young Maneuver up into the 6th position, and he's going to have a little bit more clean track ahead of him. Meanwhile, we've seen it before and we've seen it again. Pinquo now overtakes Trap Palos. Elfin Starfish has fallen back through the field just a little bit. Now Boothie is going to be stuck in the middle of this battle. He's faster than all of these drivers, but they've been fighting their own battle throughout this entire race pretty much. And they're all closing in on Fiend, who just pitted a little bit ago also. Well, Fiend's going to try and open up the gap as quickly as he can. Meanwhile, back at the front, this is Lowe. Well, near the front, this is Lowe hunting Waddington. Waddington trying to make those medium tires go as long as he can. The thing for Waddington is that he will eventually have to go ahead and jump on the hards. At this point, at least if I was in Waddington's shoes, I'd come in now to put on the hards. And that's exactly what he's doing, and that's exactly what Lowe is doing also. Hazel will stay out for a little bit longer because Hazel pitted after taking damage early on in the event. So he can make those mediums last just a little bit longer, but he will have, and if he wants, he can go right onto another set of mediums, I believe. I I might be wrong, but if memory serves correctly, Hazel started on the hards. I'm gonna check real quickly. I'm gonna try and check real quickly. Race director, Hazel, what does it say? Hazel started on the softs. So Hazel can make these mediums go as long as he wants and then try to jump onto another set of mediums. Boothie already by Elfin Starfish and Trap Hollows. He is now already setting his sights on Penquo. As Lowe and Waddington both making their pit stops. Lowe is now behind Waddington once more, but they've got Fiend behind them, and he's got Pinkwell behind him, and they've got Boothie behind him. And Kinsey Retro is about 2.5 seconds up the way from this battle as well, so if Waddington can pull away or Boothie can get up through here fast, Boothie will go after his teammate Kinsey once more. Ooh, that was not good on Boothie's part. That's really going to compromise his run. Lowe not close enough to Waddington. Waddington is proving to be very, very difficult to overtake, but Lowe doesn't care. He's going to try and make it work on the outside. He sends it. He locks up the inside tire. They're neck and neck. Oh, look at Lowe. He's nearly spun the car and he lost the position, so Waddington still is going to hold on to that spot. And now Fiend is right there, as is Pinkwell. Pinkwell is going to look to the inside of Fiend. Not able to do anything yet, and now that means Boothie has a chance to capitalize if Pinkwell makes a mistake. Well, that's a lunge. A lunge, not really much of a gain, honestly. But Lowe is definitely not Fiend. He got right alongside Waddington, but he just over-revved the car just a little bit, got sideways. Here comes Boothie. He's got DRS on Pinkwell. He's going to lake a lunge, but Pinkwell dives really, really deep. Boothie has to do a completely different line just to get through there. And Waddington is closing in on Kinsey. Oh, Pinkwell and Fiend are going to be neck and neck, and this is right ahead of Boothie. Boothie doesn't want to see this. He can't go side by side with Pinkwell through these corners. He needs to be very, very calm, very, very careful, and he spins around, and he's into the inside wall. And Boothie, one-lap pace is amazing. His overall race pace leaves much to be desired. As XRL Fiend and Pinkwell fight, and now Fiend loses the position of Pinkwell, and Kinsey Retro has spun. Both Red Bulls spin within about 15 seconds of each other now. And once again, well, Waddington has lost the position to Lowe. I missed that while all that happened, but Waddington has lost the position to Lowe. So now there's nothing stopping Lowe from running off in clean air for possibly the rest of this race. And Trap Paulos has had an instant. He goes into the dirt. He now loses that position to Boothie. Again, Mr. Anderson will close in on him to try and make something happen. Meanwhile, near the front of the field, Ryan Hurricane stalks Danny the same way that Danny was stalking Ryan earlier today. The big difference, though, Danny has a time penalty right now. Ryan Hurricane currently does not. Now, Young Maneuver has raced his way up into the 4th position. He is now putting his sights on Hazel. Hazel on a slightly alternate strategy, 2 stops, and he'll likely jump onto another set of mediums to the end of the race once he finally does decide to swap tires. He started on the softs, got involved in a lap 1 incident. Has recovered basically up into 3rd. Zola overtakes Trap Paulos because Paulos is in the pit lane. Well, I imagine we'll see Higsby potentially make a move on Trap Paulos. We are going up the hill to the top of Sector 3. Fiend, Pinkwill continuing their own little spat. It looks like Fiend has the better of Pinkwill for right now. Fiend will once again set his sights on Waddington, as Lowe is trying to outrun them all. Young maneuver within half a second of Hazel. The DRS doesn't really kick in until the very end of the straight, so you have to, like I've said so many times, you have to be right underneath the cars ahead rear wing just to make the overtake happen. Boothie has caught Elfin Starfish. Again, Boothie has made more overtakes than anyone else, but he has also made had more accidents than anyone else today. Easily moves by Elfin Starfish. Wax is now pitting, so Zola will take 14th from him. Ryan Hurricane now has a time penalty against him, so now Danny and Ryan are equal on time penalties, and Ryan Hurricane will have to overtake Danny on the racetrack itself if he wants to hold on to the points lead. Ryan, if anything, seems to be falling off of Danny just a little bit, and that's not going to bode well for the Ferrari driver. And maneuver, Hazel neck and neck. Going through turns 1 and 2, a little bit of contact. But it looks like Young Maneuver is going to take third. And now he's going to start a mad charge to try and catch the top. Hazel's not done yet. Hazel wants to fight back. But here's the thing, Hazel is pushing those very warm medium tires as hard as he can as well. At this point, Hazel just needs to focus on keeping those tires together. He has to pit one more time. When he pits, he will probably jump onto another set of medium tires and will have to race his way up through the field. So he just needs to stay behind Young Maneuver and utilize the DRS as long as he can. So that way, he will be in a slightly better position compared to the cars behind. Because again, Hazel will have to pit one more time. Those mediums are not going to last the rest of this race. If he can go one more lap on these and then jump into the pit lane, he can get another set of mediums that will last him to the end of this race. At least that's the strategy I would imagine he's going for. Meanwhile, Fiend is just overtaking Waddington and overtakes the track, goes right off the circuit. I have no idea what he was going for there. That's another accident by XRL Steel. No damage on the car, so it looks like the car may have just snapped out and spun around on him, going uphill. But Mercedes continues to have a very, very bad day today. And with only one DNF thus far, and we're over halfway through this race, it's looking like a real conga line of humiliation for the Mercedes team. So here's Pinkwill right behind Waddington. Now it's his time to go after Waddington. But here's the thing. Pinkwill is on very worn hard tires. Waddington is on relatively fresh hards. Pinkwill's way faster going down the straight. He looks to the outside. Can't make it stick. Waddington proving to be the hardest driver to overtake on track today, it seems. Elfin Starfish, another time penalty. real quickly, I want to point out Kinsey Retro. Kinsey is on the same set of tires he started this race on, the same set of hards. So Kinsey will be one of the last drivers to come in and put on medium tires more than likely to the end of this race. So very interesting run. It's a shame because Kinsey does not have a whole lot of pace. Boothie is in 10th and looking at Fiend right now. He's overtaken Fiend before. He knows he can do it. Fiend is not able to keep up with Pinkwo or Waddington ahead. So I imagine Boothie will have DRS on Fiend. And he's not close enough to make that move this time by. So again, another DRS train forming. And Boothie keeps closing in on the back of these DRS trains that Waddington keeps spitting out. And it's giving Boothie problems keeping that car clean around the track. And he keeps having incidents. Pinkwo. He's closed in on Waddington, but Waddington's defending the inside. Pinkwo's going to have to try the outside, but those tires are a little bit more worn than I think they can take. Yeah, he's able to get alongside Waddington, but Waddington's just a little bit better. Again, Pinkwo, without a doubt, is faster than Waddington, even on these heavily worn hards. But because of the nature of Catalunya, it's a very defense-oriented circuit. This battle will always be in the favor of Waddington. Boothie has gotten by Fiend, and now Boothie sees these two. Now, Boothie shouldn't have too much of an issue getting by Waddington in theory. It's Pinkwo that's going to be the issue for him. We are. Boothie has DRS on Pinkwo, and Pinkwo has DRS on Waddington. But again, the Haas isn't close enough to do anything to the Williams. The Red Bull Boothie can't do anything either. Pinkwo, the car steps out on him, coming out of 2. Wax that Danny and Ryan both overtook and did not help Ryan whatsoever. He is losing time to Danny and losing time to him fast. This is the most active battle on the circuit right now. Again, Boothie has DRS on Pinkwo, who has DRS on Waddington. Pinkwo looking to the outside of the Williams. Oh, and Fiend make a lunge on Boothie, and they're going to be neck and neck. He's going to back out of it, though. But that really puts in perspective how much Waddington is holding up the field. Hazel is finally making his final stop, and he will likely put on another set of mediums and run those mediums to the end of the race. The thing is, when Hazel gets out onto the circuit, he's going to be right behind this train of cars that can't do anything to each other. Yeah, he ends up literally right behind this train of cars where no one can do anything to each other. So now Hazel adds himself to the back of this long-ass DRS train. Starfish now makes his final stop of the day. Here are Boothie looking to the outside of Pinkwo. Oh, and he just ran right into him. And now both of them are going to go a little bit off circuit. Waddington is going to be so happy about that. And now there's damage on Boothie's front wing. This is super ideal for Waddington. And this is the worst case scenario for Hazel. Fiend going on the outside of Boothie. There's nothing that Boothie can really do to fight back. Pinkwo doesn't seem to have too much damage on the car. Now it's Hazel's turn to put a fight against Boothie to see if he can get by him. Hazel has the best tires of everybody here. He's backing off just a little bit, doesn't want to be too aggressive when Boothie pulls into the pits. So Boothie coming into the pits, and that will drop him out of the top 10 again. Hazel goes up in the 9th, and now he can start set his sights on Fiend, Pinkwell, and Waddington, and he knows now for a fact he is faster than all 3 of those cars ahead. He just can't do what Boothie did and make a massive mistake like that under braking. Boothie jumping onto another set of hards. It's an interesting decision. Again, Waddington continuing to be the hardest driver to overtake. Just to put things in perspective, once Lowe finally did get by Waddington, he very quickly opened up a 7.3 second gap on him. So Waddington is basically like the Ferrari of the late 70s, extremely capable in a straight line, but just dog slow everywhere else. And it's really, really harming everybody behind him. Everyone from 7th to 9th, honestly, should be ahead. And frankly, Boothie should be higher up in the field also. Because a lot of Boothie's incidents have happened because he's been stuck in these DRS trains behind Waddington this entire time. Now here, Hazel has Fiend, and Fiend doesn't have DRS on Pinkwell. So Hazel should be able to overtake without too much of an issue. As Pinkwell, once again, neck and neck. He's got the inside. The Williams fighting back. And Pinkwell was finally by Waddington. It took a long time, but Pinkwell has finally gotten by Waddington with tires that are 3 times as old. And now, the question is, Hazel, how long will it take Hazel to get by Waddington? He has great tires compared to Waddington. Ryan Hurricane just set the fastest lap of the race. Now that will still probably change going forward, but it is saying something that Ryan Hurricane might be coming alive as this is coming on. Steele is now a full lap down, and this entire DRS train is just about to catch him on circuit. Ooh, Pinkwell and Steele, bad place to make contact. Hazel, Waddington, Pinkwell all having a massively bad run through there. That actually brought Fiend into the mix. Fiend is going to be just barely within the mix as Waddington now has DRS back against Pinkwell. And Pinkwell is like, I thought I was done with you. And now Waddington just muscles his way right back against the Haas. So this is still not done. Kenzie making his final stop of the day now. 42 laps on his set of hards, so great driving for him. It's just a shame that he's not had a whole lot of pace, and it's very unlikely that he's going to be able to get any points by the end of today's event. Waddington continues to be the ultimate spammer in the works. A car that honestly shouldn't even be in the top 10 is just using this track's defensive nature and a little bit of intelligence to keep a hold onto 6th position. He's only really lost 1 true position this entire day since the restart. Again, Pinkwell, his tires are 3 laps older than Waddington's. He's given up. Pinkwell's had enough. He is coming into the pits. He will jump onto mediums to the end of the day. So now it's Hazel. Hazel is just him versus Waddington. He's on mediums, and they're nice and fresh compared to Waddington's moderately worn hards. Boothie, another time penalty. Real quickly, we'll just go ahead and look at penalties. Boothie has 12 seconds worth of penalties right now. It's just ungodly bad. I'm just being very honest there. He will get back by Zola, and he goes back up to 12th. Boothie's still in a quest to try and earn points today. Points beyond the pole position, that is. Real quickly as we look at the fastest lap. That still goes to Ryan Hurricane, but it's between him, Danny, and Lowe thus far. Those are the fastest drivers. Boothie also is going to tender for it, but doesn't have it yet. Hazel really does not want to give up. The other thing is, Fiend is back there also, ready to capitalize. Once this battle finally breaks up in some way, he will probably immediately take advantage. If Hazel makes a mistake, Fiend will leap ahead of Hazel. If Hazel finally gets by Waddington and the door is open enough, he will breeze by Waddington as well if it's at all possible. The interval is relatively close, but Waddington's going to defend on the inside. Hazel on the outside. And that was a very clean overtake by Hazel. So it seems like it's all turning against Waddington now. He has now fallen to 7th, and now Fiend is a driver behind him once more. Fiend has not been able to get by Waddington and stay ahead of him. And now Boothie just set the fastest lap, 1:19.892, and he did that on the hards. But they're fresh hards compared to the worn hards of Danny and Ryan Hurricane. Now Hazel in a great position because he can just kind of walk away from, if he can just get out of DRS range from Waddington, he can just kind of walk away and run a race on his own. And with no time penalties against him right now, this could end up being a very, very good finish for him. Just needs to get more than a second away from Waddington. He's not there yet. Waddington closed a little bit because Waddington's just better coming out of that chicane. So much better that he's laying on the DRS and ERS. He's going to be right on Hazel's rear coming to the end of the straight. He's actually going to try and make an overtake. But Hazel, nice and confident with the tires under braking, will hold on, not even really blush. Pinkwell now just set the fastest lap. And he's done that on a set of mediums that are relatively fresh. So I will say this, for Ryan Hurricane, as he is losing grips with Danny, Danny just seems to be a little bit faster, a little bit more consistent. I think Ryan Hurricane might want to consider jumping into the pits in the last 4 or 5 laps of the race, throwing on some softs and trying to get the fastest lap of the race point. Because it doesn't look like Ryan Hurricane is going to have any chance of catching Danny, let alone overtaking him before this race is over. Fiend continuing to hang on behind Waddington, but not able to do anything because Waddington has DRS on Hazel ahead. There's not really any very active battles on the track other than that. Now, Elfin Starfish is there behind Kinsey Retro, but not really in a position to do anything at the moment because of the nature of the circuit here. Boothie has a purple sector 2. He's looking to potentially put another fastest lap down, which would beat Pinkwell's. I don't know how that didn't invalidate it, but it didn't. Was not faster than Pinkwell's lap, interestingly enough. So now here's the thing, Hazel's in an interesting position. He needs to get some distance with those mediums, but it's really hard because Waddington's yes holding on to the DRS. But once Hazel gets some distance, he needs to start preserving the mediums so they don't burn out and die on him near the end of this event. Ooh, that's not good. Trap Paulos completely sideways. Oh, wow, Kinsey Retro's going to capitalize and make a move on Elfin Starfish because of that. But Trap Paulos, who having a, not necessarily silent, but very busy day, it's just gotten a lot busier. He's now fallen out of the top 15 positions. This is it. Fiend has lost Waddington, and Waddington has lost Hazel. So that DRS train is now gone for good. Just to put things in perspective, Danny and Ryan Hurricane have put everyone outside the top 11 a lap down. And another accident for XRL Steel. The Congo line of humiliation for Mercedes continues. Now here's the really interesting thing. This is Boothie. Oh, and Ryan Hurricane's jumped into the pits. So Ryan Hurricane feels that it would be better for him to jump into the pits, put on some medium tires, and set some faster laps. Now he's 30.8 seconds behind Danny, and he's going to be behind Young Maneuver. Young Maneuver is going to have Warren, but hot. They're going to be Warren. Hot, no. What the hell? Trap just had another incident. Yep, Trap just went off circuit again. And that happened just in front of Young Maneuver as well. Well, now Danny has this race locked up for all intents and purposes. But yeah, Ryan Hurricane now has to try and catch and overtake Young Maneuver and then do whatever he can to try and catch Danny, but I don't see any way that he'll make those mediums go that fast in these final 16 laps. And just a little bit behind, Lowe has caught Smoothie 25. And this will be a battle for the 4th position thing as Lowe has time penalties, Smoothie does not. McLaren has DRS down the straightaway. Using the ERS, looking to the inside, thinking better of it though. Can't really do anything quite yet. Mr. Anderson having a little bit of exchange of positions there throughout turns 3, but for now it's going to be Mr. Anderson who keeps the nose ahead. Pinkwell sends it in deep through turn 4. They're still neck and neck. Now Pinkwell's going to have the preferred line of choice going into turn 5. There's not really much that Ferrari can do except fall in line behind for the moment. And as these two battle, it will bring Boothie up to them, and then even worse than that, it will bring Danny up to them, because Danny isn't too far out from this battle. Ryan Hurricane, Young Maneuver, neck and neck. No longer Ryan Hurricane sails by Young Maneuver without issue. And that's Higsby, and Higsby has had an incident on circuit. Tale of feast and famine for the tracing point. Young Maneuver looks like he's going to bring that thing to a podium. Higsby looks like he's not even going to get a single point today. Is that Trap Paulos again? Yes, Trap Paulos has another incident. So this race has just completely gone away from Trap Paulos here. And Fiend has finally gotten by Waddington. It has taken 51 laps, but he's finally by that Williams. So for Ryan Hurricane, this is the scenario. With 15 laps to go, he basically needs to make up 2 seconds a lap on Danny JJ02. To be 100% honest, that's not happening. What he's going for right now is a hope that Danny makes a mistake with these tires getting away from him as they get more and more worn, and he's able to capitalize on that. Or he's betting on getting fastest lap of the race. However, the problem with that, though, is that he's not going to be the only person coming in to make a pit stop late in the event, and if they think they can get away with it. Fiend has now opened a gap on Waddington just a bit. Now Waddington closes in on the straightaway. Boy, does he ever close in. That thing's really set up for straight line speed. But he can't do anything because Fiend is just a little bit smoother through the corners. As long as that Williams can't get alongside at the end of the straight, it doesn't matter. Ryan Hurricane, another time penalty, track violation. So yeah, this race is now without doubt within the hands of this man here, Danny JJ02. Missed last week's race, lost the points lead because of that. Comes back today, and it looks like he's going to walk out here with a win. So he will retake his spot on the top of the point standings with that. If nothing happens bizarre. There is still 14 laps left in this race, but I myself would not bet on it. Also, I just want to go ahead and say, as Boothie goes ahead and gets back into the points gained by Mr. Anderson, I want to say good job to the fact that of the 20 starters, 19 of them are still on track, and we've only had 2 yellow flags. Oh, and Boothie again! Another incident. That's the same place he had an incident earlier. And now, Boothie with more wing damage once more. He might go a lap down to Danny. And he might, this might force the end. Well, no, there is no damage on that car, shockingly. But he just went wide into the dirt and gets another time penalty as well. 18 seconds worth of penalties against Boothie right now. And for the XRL events, oh, and Elfin Starfish is just retired from the session. What in the world happened? That's a virtual safety. It's not a full course safety car, so it doesn't change too much. But I kind of wish it was a full course safety car. If it was a full course safety car, we'd have a battle. But yeah, Elfin Starfish will be our second DNF of the day, and it comes at a very, very late point in the event as well. DRS has been back enabled as we get back to green again. We're going to try and bring Elfin Starfish in here and see what happened to take him out of the race. Zola and Wax both jumped in onto soft tire compounds during that yellow. They will run those softs to the end of the race. Alright, here we are. Coming into the booth with us right now is Elfin Starfish. Elfin Starfish, go ahead, include your audio. What happened there that ended your race?
I spun. I hit the bump and spun.
Well, nice and straightforward. Sorry to see it happen. Do you think you'll be able to bounce back from it next week?
I'm expecting a podium next week.
Alright, big hopes from Elfin Starfish, hoping to rebound from a late race accident here at Catalunya. Thank you very much. So, Young Maneuver currently has, that is Wax behind him, and Wax has fresh softs, so he will try and overtake him on track. Wax, time penalty for track violations is not going to look very well. But Danny, I think, was he just held up? Yeah, he was just held up there by level 6 Beastian. He's still being held up by that Mercedes, I think. Not massively. It's not going to be enough to bring Ryan Hurricane in. But he is being held up. See, that Mercedes was really, really wide off the circuit so as to not be an impediment to our race leader. So once again, the Mercedes car is continuing to be just too much for the drivers to handle. And neither Beastian nor Steele will even finish close on the lead lap. Steele 3 laps down, Beastian 2 laps down. And Steele has had numerous accidents today, and Beastian has just been ungodly slow. Low, another time penalty for track violations. The maneuver has snaked by his lapped teammate Higsby. Right now, Young Maneuver is looking to come out here in a good position. He's en route to finish third today. Smoothie has opened up a bit of a gap on low. And Hazel has opened up a nice gap on Fiend. Now, the battle between Hazel and Fiend will come back in Fiend's favor. However, Hazel's tires, they won't be dead. He will be able to make them last to the end. It will be a two-stop strategy, but it's going to work. Also, what I said earlier about the one-stop strategy being over, that is not true. One-stop strategies are back, but only here, as we've seen Danny going to finish this race, win this race with a one-stop strategy, going from mediums to hards. Washington continues to hang out about a second behind Fiend, but he's not really in a position to do anything to him. And Pinquo he got by Washington at one point, then immediately had to immediately got held up by lap traffic. Washington got back in front of him, and Pinquo kind of threw his hands up in the air and said, "I'm done with this." He came into the pits, put on a new set of tires, and although he's faster than everyone ahead, it's not likely that he will be able to be ahead of Washington by the end of this race. Mr. Anderson, currently in the 11th position. Boothie has gotten by him again. And Mr. Anderson is coming under threat of going a lap down. Not saying it will happen, but it is something to take note of. Because Mr. Anderson is right here in Sector 3. And Danny is entering Sector 3 right now. Another incident for Trap Paulos. Trap Paulos seems to be suffering from a similar set of circumstances that BC and Steele are having. The car is just not within his abilities. Either that or he's trying to outdrive the car. Both of them seem like very, very possible scenarios. So this is just out to Higsby. Higsby, I know you're running 15th, but you're looking good in 15th compared to the people behind you right now. So do not get discouraged. Same thing to Wax, Zola, and Kenzie Retro. You all might be a lap down, but compared to Trap Paulos, BC, and Seal, you guys are having a relatively good day. Do not let it get you down. So for Danny, it's going to be a nice walk in the park to a win here. He started 5th, gained a position on the initial run down to turn 1, gained another position when the yellow flag came out, then gained another position, ended up 2nd when we went to green after the restart. Ryan Hurricane just not quite as fast over a longer run compared to Danny. He overtook Ryan Hurricane during pit stops. Ryan Hurricane fell off and eventually gave up altogether. And now Danny cruising to a win and will retake the points lead with that victory. And that is the Mercedes of Steel, who was spun around again outside of Sector 2. Not Sector 2, Turn 2, I'm sorry. Be careful, reverse onto the track, because that is a Red Bull going by. And now Steele will be 4 laps down. Oh, and his teammate Beastian's just had an incident also. So both Mercedes drivers continuing to absolutely struggle today. I think there's been more instances with the Mercedes drivers today than we've seen all across the entire field yesterday. And that's an incident with a Red Bull. That is Kinsey Retro, who is running 12th, who has just had an instant there. And here comes Ryan Hurricane, who will overtake the Red Bull without too much issue. The Red Bull cars also seem to be having trouble. Not as much, but they are having trouble. But credit where credit's due, Boothie took pole, and despite going off circuit and spinning around ungodly number of times, he might walk out of here with the points. If he doesn't have another spin or accident, he will end up ahead of Mr. Anderson. Will finish on the lead lap and will get a point for 10th. Low. Dealing with a lot of lap traffic ahead as Smoothie is trying to make his way through Higsby, and he has caught Young Maneuver. And Low is not that far off as well. So Smoothie sees his teammate Young Maneuver up there. And there you are, that's Low, who just got around the lapped car of Higsby back there. So it's going to be a three-way fight for third by the looks of it going to the end. Oh, and Danny is pitting. Danny has just come into the pits. He only had 22.8 seconds over Ryan Hurricane. So I have to wonder what Danny is doing, because I don't know if they're going to be able to switch tires and do everything in time. He's going to put on sauce. They're going to try and get fastest lap. He's far enough ahead of Ryan Hurricane, so Danny will hold on to this race lead, I believe. Ryan Hurricane is flying down the straight, but Danny is already onto the racetrack proper. So yes, the race still goes in favor of Danny. It's still Danny's race to lose. Now, he's just going to try and rub Ryan Hurricane's face in the dog doo-doo and take fastest lap as well. And Kinsey Retro has had another incident, as has Trap Paulos. We now have a three-way battle for the third position. Low has caught Smoothie, and he has caught Yun. Ooh, wow, from Low. Low gets really sideways, putting the power down, and Steele has retired from the session. Well, it's taken all day, but it's finally happened, and that is a virtual safety car. Still under the virtual safety car. Not a full course safety car, just a virtual one, though. We are calling to inform you about your car's extended warranty. Alright, Steele, go ahead. Include your audio. It's been an absolute struggle of a race for you, 4 laps down, and then you finally crashed out. Just, in your own words, talk to us about what your day was like. What happened in the accident that took you out of the race, though? I will say, I just have to ask once more, between you and Beastie, and I've counted at least a dozen incidents. Do you think the issue is with the cars or the drivers? Alright, well, thanks again for sharing your input, Steel. Alright, meanwhile, we turn our focus back to the race. Ryan Hurricane is doing relatively well on the mediums. The problem is Danny jumped onto softs and is just going to walk away from Ryan Hurricane. And when it comes to time penalties, they both have 6 seconds even. So if something happens to Danny, that Danny gets another 3 seconds of time penalties, Ryan Hurricane might still take the lead of this race, but I would not put any bets on it. What I would put bets on, though, is something happening in this battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And I would also go ahead and put bets on something happening maybe to Fiend, because Fiend is slowly catching Hazel in these last few laps. Hazel is back to having to preserve the car. Danny, fastest lap, 117.6, and he will likely hold on to the fastest lap point to the end of the race today. Starfish leaves the session for good, and here we are. Lowe is right underneath Smoothie, but Smoothie still has DRS on Young Maneuver ahead, so it's going to be extremely hard for Lowe to really make anything happen. He'll have to wait another lap. He really wants, I imagine for Lowe at least, he wants Young Maneuver to either spin off the track or Young Maneuver to get far enough ahead of Smoothie that Smoothie can't get DRS off of the tracing point ahead. And that's your second place driver. Ryan Hurricane has had an accident. Now the car is still in one piece, and he is far enough ahead of Young Maneuver that he will not lose second. Oh, and he destroys the car. He put the power down, and the car is destroyed right off the racing line. And your points leader coming into the race is out of the race now. Oh, and he just got tapped. Who was that? Is that Hazel? I think Hazel tapped him. No, that wasn't Hazel. That was Wax. Wax tapped him and took a chunk out of him. And that means that not only will Danny retake the points lead, he's going to open up a massive points lead. Ryan Hurricane won't even finish in the top 10. And that might be the end of his championship hopes. Smoothie and Young Maneuver neck and neck, and Smoothie has just slipped by Young Maneuver here. It's the second to last lap of the race now. We're going to try and see if Ryan Hurricane is willing to share what happened from his perspective. Both Smoothie and Young Maneuver have now lost XRL Low. This is the battle between the two of them, and it looks like Smoothie is going to be the one on top of this at the end. But here's the battle that's not done. Fiend and Pinkwo still at it. Coming onto the white flag lap. Has DRS on Fiend. He'll use the ERS as well. He's right underneath the rear end, neck and neck. This might be the last chance for Pinkwo to make this overtake stick for the 6th position. Pinkwo now ahead of Fiend. Smoothie opens up a small gap on Young Maneuver. And it's all this man, Danny JJ802, misses a race, loses the points lead, and now he's going to come back and take a commanding lead in the points after winning the race here. Oh, and Lowe has just crashed out. And for Hazel, this is going to be great, because as long as he doesn't hit him, yeah, he's not going to hit him. Hazel's going to come out here in 4th. But Danny is going to win the race, and the battle for 2nd is still alive. Smoothie ahead of Jan Maneuver. Here comes Hazel. And he will come home 4th. And that last lap overtake by Pinkwell might as well have been 2 last lap overtakes. He will cross the line 5th, but will he hold on to that over Fiend? Yeah, Waddington jumps Fiend because Fiend had a bunch of time penalties, so Waddington will still finish 6th despite being one of the slowest cars in the top 10. Boothie will cross the line 8th, but where will that put him in regards to Mr. Anderson, who is 9th? There's your answer. Mr. Anderson crossed the line, but it is Danny, JJA02, who walks out of here with the win and will easily take back the points lead. And there he is, your winner. Danny JJ02 came back from a 5th place starting position to take the win. And I believe he also took fastest lap as well. So, outstanding job by Danny there. Gonna try one more time to invite him on in here. And here is your in-race results. Smoothie, Jan Maneuver, and Hazel all get a free extra point for having no penalties against them at the end. Boothie, 18 seconds of penalties, and Lowe will still get 10th at the end of the race. And here we are, coming into the party right now is your race winner. It is Danny JJA02. He's connecting right now. All right, Danny, go ahead. Include your audio. Danny, you missed the race, lost the points lead, and now you're back on top. How does it feel? Danny, can you hear me? Yeah, Danny, you missed the race, lost the points lead, and now you're already back on top. How does it feel? All right, well, you've now opened up your points lead. So you've retaken the points lead and now opened up what will likely be a 20-plus point advantage, especially considering, I believe, you got fastest lap as well. So I just want to say congratulations for you on that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think you've got to go for every point. So even if Ryan did spin out, I think the fastest lap could be important when it comes down to the end because he's still going to bring it right to the end, as am I. So should be a good watch.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations on your victory, Danny. And that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast here from Catalunya. Tomorrow, X1 and X3 will be broadcasting from Catalunya as well at 5 p.m. UK time. And then X2 will be broadcasting at 8 p.m. UK time. I will not lie, I'm actually extremely worn out because I've done nothing but doing broadcasting throughout most of the day today since I've been awake. I honestly would like to go and try and do something else today. So anyways, I'm going to bring this to a little bit of an early end. I've been Saint Leader 13. This has been XRL. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow for X1 and X3 tomorrow. Until then, sayonara.